They say it's lonely at the top. They don't tell you that you built the walls yourself. I'm sitting in a $6 million apartment, overlooking a city that worships me, and I have never wanted to jump off a balcony more than I do right now. I have the cars, the watches, the legacy, but when I unlock my front door, there is no sound. Just the hum of a ridiculously expensive refrigerator. I traded my soul for a bank balance, and I'm here to tell you, it was the worst deal I ever made. If you value the truth over the hustle culture lies, hit that subscribe button. I share the lessons that cost me everything, so they don't cost you a dime. Let's get into it. It started innocently enough. It always does. I was 26, fresh out of business school and hungry. I looked at my wife, Sarah, and I promised her the world. I meant it. I really did. I told her, just give me 5 years. I'll grind now so we can relax forever. That was the first lie. I took a job at a high-frequency trading firm. The kind of place where if you aren't at your desk by 5 a.m., you're already fired. I remember the first time I missed dinner. I didn't even call. I was in the zone, watching the markets move, feeling that dopamine hit of making $5,000 in 10 seconds. When I got home, Sarah was asleep on the couch, a plate of cold lasagna wrapped in foil on the table. I didn't feel guilty. I felt righteous. I thought, I'm doing this for her. And that became my shield. Every missed birthday, every canceled date night, it was all for the family. I started seeing Sarah less as a partner and more as a liability to my schedule. She wanted time. I wanted equity. She wanted memories. I wanted assets. I remember her asking me to take a weekend off for her sister's wedding. I laughed, literally laughed. I said, do you know how much money I lose if I step away for 48 hours? She just looked at me, eyes glazing over. She didn't argue. That should have been the warning sign. When they stop arguing, they've already started leaving. But I was too busy climbing to notice the ladder was on fire. By 32, I was a director. We moved into the zip code everyone dreams about. The house had 6 bedrooms, just for the 2 of us and our newborn son, Leo. I remember standing in that massive marble foyer, feeling like a king. I bought Sarah a Mercedes to celebrate. I put a big red bow on it. I thought that wiped the slate clean. I thought that car made up for the fact I missed the ultrasound. It didn't. The distance between us grew with the square footage. We lived in the same house, but existed in different time zones. I'd come home at midnight, shower, sleep for 4 hours, and leave before they woke up. I became a ghost, a provider, sure, but not a father, not a husband. I remember one Sunday, I actually had the morning off. I walked into the living room and Leo was playing with blocks. I sat down to help him. He looked at me, terrified. He ran to Sarah and hid behind her leg. He didn't know who I was. That should have killed me, but I just got angry. I yelled at Sarah. I told her she was turning me against me. I screamed, "Who pays for those blocks? Who pays for this house?" I threw money at the problem because that was the only tool I had left. I convinced myself that their ingratitude was the issue. I was the martyr. I was the one suffering in first class, drinking scotch, closing deals, carrying the weight of the world. They just didn't get it. They were soft. I was hard. I was winning, or so I thought. The tipping point came 2 years ago. The merger. The deal of the century. This was the exit strategy. I was set to net 8 figures. It consumed me. I didn't sleep for 3 weeks. I was fueled by caffeine and pure ego. It was Sarah's 40th birthday, the night before the closing. She'd planned a small dinner, just us. I promised I'd be there. I swore on my mother's life. 7 p.m. came. I was in a boardroom screaming at lawyers. 8 p.m., my phone buzzed. I ignored it. 9 p.m., 10 p.m., the deal was signed at 11:15 p.m. Champagne popped, handshakes. I felt like a god. I checked my phone. 12 missed calls. 1 text. Don't bother. I drove home doing 100 miles an hour, high on victory. I pulled into the driveway, and the house was dark. Too dark. I walked in. Sarah? Silence. I went upstairs. The closet was empty. Her side of the vanity was cleared out. I ran to Leo's room. Gone. No toys, no clothes, just the bed frame. On the kitchen counter, there wasn't a long letter. There wasn't a tear-stained note explaining her feelings. There was just the Mercedes key and a wedding ring. I stood there, 8 figures richer, and I have never felt poorer in my life. I sat on the floor of that $3 million kitchen and waited for the relief to kick in. I waited for the feeling of freedom. It never came, just the echo of the HVAC system. The silence was so loud it hurt my ears. I tried to call, blocked. I hired lawyers to find them. They told me she didn't want my money. She just wanted out. She wanted a life where she wasn't a widow to a living man. I realized then that I had spent 15 years building a castle, only to find out I was the only one living in it. It's been 2 years. I see Leo every other weekend. We go to the park. I buy him whatever he wants, but he looks at me with polite distance, like I'm a rich uncle he barely knows. He calls another man Dad now, a guy who drives a Honda Civic and coaches his soccer team, a guy who is there. I hate him, but I respect him, because he figured out the game better than I did. I have the corner office, I have the view, I have the bank account that people kill for, and I go home to a cold, empty house every single night. I eat steak alone. I watch movies alone. I sleep alone. Success? This isn't success. This is a very expensive funeral. If you are out there grinding, thinking you'll catch up on life later, stop. Later is a lie. The only currency that matters is time, and you are spending it on things that will not love you back. Go home, hug your wife, play with your kids, turn the phone off, because the view from the top isn't worth the climb if you have no one to share it with. If this woke you up, hit like. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Don't make my mistake. Thanks for watching.